Hey guys, let's talk about sex for a minute and talk about common beliefs that are out there that contribute to problems with relationships, also contribute to sexual addiction because people believe these things and they cause all kinds of problems in relationships. So let's talk about healthy sex in a relationship and unhealthy beliefs about sex. So the first one is that sex is for him. That is not true. Sex is not owned by men. Men don't own sex. It takes two. And sex is not all about his needs and part of what he needs in his life. Sex is a mutual thing between two people. And women have sexual desire, women have arousal and orgasm. Some experts say that women are more sexual than men. They're just in different ways than men are. And so sex is not just a him thing. And in a relationship, it leads to the second myth, which is sex is a duty, that a woman just needs to give sex to their husband so that he can be okay, so that he won't act out in addiction, or so that he can just get through his life and get through his day. And the reality is when sex becomes a duty in a relationship, what that does is it turns into a lot of resentment. It turns into disconnection. Sex is not a connecting thing. Sex is a chore. It's something that has to be done. It's like doing the laundry or doing the dishes, and it's not about the woman in any way. It's just about a duty to fulfill his needs, and it causes problems. Now, I do believe that sex is a very important part of a healthy relationship, and sex is about connection. It's about loving somebody and wanting to connect with them in all ways, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And so sex is an important part of a relationship. It's not a duty that a woman needs to fulfill for her husband. Next myth that causes problems, and this one might bring up some emotion and be confusing, but I think we all know it. It's just kind of taboo and something that nobody wants to say. But the myth is that you should only be sexually attracted to your spouse. That's a myth. Should you only be sexually attracted to your spouse? No. And the reason is because we're sexual beings and we have sexual attraction. We're all sexually attracted to people. It's how we're designed. Now, it's really helpful to be faithful to your spouse. It's very important to be faithful to your spouse, not to act out sexually outside of your committed relationships and the commitments that you've made. But the reality is you're sexually attracted to multiple people. And sometimes women with betrayal trauma will try to control their husbands not to be attracted to other women. And as much as they try to control that, the reality is that attraction is still there. And it's that control is based out of fear that you could get hurt because of his sexuality, but his sexuality is there. He's attracted to more than just you. And a healthy relationship, both people understand that. They understand that, hey, there's sexual attraction there, but we have commitment between us and we have safety between us where we know that there's trust. We know that we're going to be faithful to each other, even though we have attraction to other people sexually. Okay. Next one is, and this one is kind of broad and far-reaching, but there's a belief that sex is bad, that sex in some way just equates to shame. Sex is perverted, it's disgusting, it's just wrong, and there could be nothing further from the truth. Now, sex in a context where it's not healthy can be very destructive and harmful, and it can cause problems. but sex is so important, and who we are sexually is important as who we are emotionally and physically and spiritually. And sex is not bad, and being sexual is not a bad thing, as long as you keep it within the right context. And it's okay for us to be sexual beings. And people get very triggered into shame when they talk about sex. I've spoken at churches, I've spoken to older generations, and people start to squirm in their chair a little bit just because I'm saying sex out loud, or just because I'm talking about us being sexual beings. And we can accept ourselves and who we are sexually. That's okay, and it's actually beautiful and wonderful. So these are common myths that contribute to addiction, that contribute to relationship problems. Sex is bad, and then you have an addict who believes that, but yet they're acting out sexually. They feel like, gosh, I'm sexual, sex is bad, therefore I must just be bad. And that's when they start to disconnect, that's when they start to hide, and it's important that they start to love all of who they are, even who they are sexually as well. And so I just wanted to leave these thoughts with you about myths that contribute to problems, both with shame, with relationships, and with addiction. And hopefully it can shift your paradigm a little bit and help you think differently about connection and differently about sex.